Guys, y'all give it up for Jonathan R. Parker.
Well, good evening. How's everyone doing? Good? Yeah? It's not on? Am I? No? You would think speakers would understand how to work microphones. Well, this is awesome. I'm very excited to be with you. Thanks for coming out. I need you to look at your neighbor. Okay, now choose carefully, though. Because one of your neighbors is going to be really excited that you pick them. The other one's going to feel like that last kid picked dodgeball and just feel really rejected. Look at your neighbor, and this is what you're going to say. You're going to talk a lot. Okay, now look at your other neighbor and say, you're going to have to listen to me talk a lot. All right, well, that was a very kind introduction from Tyler. It's just been a fun journey, and you'll hear about some of that as we go on tonight. But, you know, you saw the cool speaker reel, right? And Tyler told you some fun things about me. I don't know if you're like me in this regard. A speaker gets up to talk, and you're like, I wonder what they're like at home, right? I feel like my wife should do a speaker reel so that you could get like Jonathan Parker behind the scenes, you know, after I come out on stage. But here's 90 seconds of me behind the scenes. Shaved my head for the first time when I was in first grade. True story. My mother thought it was a phase. Nope. The salon that actually buzzed it was more of a buzz. It was a 0 or a 1 or something like that. It's still open. My mom still goes get her nails done at that salon. It's kind of incredible. I wear funky socks. I failed first grade. I had acne starting around 5th grade. Started shaving around 6th grade. Middle school sucked. That was my middle school experience. Came down here to go to school, met my lovely bride, dated her for 5 years, broke up with her 3 times, and convinced her to take me back 3 times, which, that's pretty impressive. She's wonderful. She's awesome. We have 3 boys, Titus, Judah, Zion. Their ages are 4, 3, and 2. 4, 3, and 2. All of the moms and women out there are like, she is a saint. And she took all 3 of them to the pool and bought them pizza so I could come up here and talk. So can we just give it up for Jess real quick? She's really excited now that people follow me around with the camera most of the time because she actually gets to hear most of these talks. So that's really great. So why do I love conversation so much? Let me just explain it to you this way. For most people, talking comes pretty easily. For most people, they grow up in such a way that talking and forming words and being able to communicate comes easily. That's not so much my case. I was very sick as a child. I had seizures. I spent most of my early childhood, really 0 to 5, with double ear infections, multiple illnesses that affected my hearing, which obviously then affected my speech. And I really didn't speak well until I was almost between 4 and 5. And we grew up in a small town in Newington, and this was before, you know, speech teachers were a thing. I went to a very small private school, so they didn't have added resources for anything like that. So my mom really had to spend time helping me learn how to talk to people and how to communicate and how to form words. There's actually, to this day, there are still words that I cannot say because I can't form my tongue. I can't form my mouth to say them. I can hear them in my head, but I can't get them to come out correctly. And people are always like, what are some of those words? I'm like, I can't say them. See? I just don't know how to help you people. I'm like, can't say them. But when you hear them, it's kind of funny because I have no idea what I'm saying. And I had to work to talk. But then the crazy thing was I fell in love with talking. So I did plays and I would do speeches, and I loved speech class, like Speech 101 in college. I was like, yeah. Everyone else is freaking out. I'm like, give me the mic, right? I love to talk. But what I realized was talking and having a conversation were 2 different things. I got really good at running my mouth. But I started to get really bad at opening my ears. I got really good knowing what I wanted to say, while at the same time devaluing what you were saying. I was always the smartest person in the room, even at 19. and you always were the dumbest. And then all of a sudden I realized, man, and we're going to talk about this a little, I made a lot of noise. I didn't have a lot of conversations. And the journey I went on to understand, to discover this idea of the art of the conversation, this was personal for me. I never meant to do this. This was not on the trajectory to share this with you, because this is a personal journey. This is personal for me. And all of the content you're going to hear tonight, and if you come hear me talk anywhere else, all that content, that was 100% selfish for me, because I wanted to be better at having conversations. And now that I have the opportunity to share that with people, especially in my hometown of Greenville, because I do believe, as you heard in the video, if we can change the world, it will be through conversations. And I'm on social media, obviously. So are most of you. And I'm grateful for that avenue, but social media is just another avenue for me to sit with you face to face and have a conversation. It's just another means. So today, what I'm going to share with you is deeply personal to me. And I want it to become deeply personal to you because, as you already heard, you are an artist. The words that come out of your mouth produce artwork that can't be captured in a film or on canvas. It can't even be molded by clay. Your words are your unique artwork. And they not only capture the subject being discussed, whether that's sports or marketing or business or your hustle or your family, but it just doesn't capture the subject. It also is a direct reflection of you. Yes, some of these great pieces of art and poetry and music were created for our enjoyment and for our development, but it was a reflection of the artist, which means the words that come out of your mouth, the conversations that you have, they're your vocal art, and they are a direct reflection of you. Most people do not remember what was talked about. They remember what was created in the conversation. They may not remember you, but they will remember what you say. Why? Because you create art. And when I realized that my words, my conversations were artwork, everything began to change, because just think about that. That means every time you use a word, that will go into someone's memory. And bad vocal art is like that spring break tattoo with the 4 dolphins on the back, and you thought you were going to be friends with everyone at 17, right? Like, that's what that is. And even though you cover it up and you go back and you say something like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. Or, oh man, sorry, that was just the heat of the moment. Or, no, you just misunderstood me. That original art is just a cover-up tattoo. So I want you to leave here and take a conversation seriously, personally, and here's why. Because if Greenville is going to change, we need to change the conversation. We can't yell at one another. We can't figure out what corner we need to be in, what niche we're supposed to be in, and just yell back and forth at one another. Okay, we need to lower the noise and raise the conversation. And hopefully tonight, we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk. This is just a conversation. I'm going to get a little speaky, probably going to stand up a little bit. Okay, grew up Baptist, might get a little preachy too. That's going to be all right. Everyone's going to be okay. If you brought a handkerchief, that will help me out a little bit though. You just wave that around. But you're going to talk. We're going to have some group exercises, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So you ready to have fun? Yeah? All right, so this is how I define a conversation. This is going to be our outline for tonight. This is how I define a conversation. A conversation is the mutual sharing of ideas, stories, and experiences around a specific topic that builds common ground. Now, we're going to break that down all through the night, but let me say it one more time. A conversation is the mutual sharing of ideas, stories, and experiences around a specific topic that builds common ground. And tonight, we're going to look at the main parts of that definition, and we're all going to leave here better vocal artists. I tell all of my clients, all of my friends, all the groups I talk to, the art of the conversation is not meant to be thought about, right? This isn't going to be a philosophical exercise where you're going to go drink tea afterwards and discuss the finer points of it. My goal is when you leave here, you have practical takeaways that will add value to your life, to your conversations, no matter who it is. When you get up to go over and continue networking, it's going to be a totally different experience if you take to heart the idea that your conversations are your vocal art. So let's talk about this first one. It is a mutual sharing. A mutual sharing. One of the things that, and maybe you've picked up on this in our culture, and I think it came in almost hidden, kind of came in almost like a Trojan horse, kind of came in the back door. We have now begun to live in a give and take culture. It's all give and take. It's give in the sense of, I got to get this off my chest. It's not give like Christmas morning give. It's I'm stuck with this, so I'm going to abdicate it to you. Like I don't want to be responsible anymore. I don't want to be responsible for what I say on social media. I don't want to be responsible for how I treat other people. I'm just getting it off my chest. I'm just giving it to you. I don't want to be accountable for this anymore. I'm just getting rid of it. But it's give and then it's take, right? It's you show up to other networking events and the thought that runs through people's minds, what can I take from people? How much free legal advice can I get over this dinner? I mean, I know this lawyer is my friend, but I wonder if that graphic designer who's trying to make it on his own, I wonder if I can just take something from it. And our mindset is, I want to get rid of all the stuff I don't want, and I want to take all the best from other people. And that comes up in a conversation. I mean, some of us do it in an email, but most of us know that when you put it in words on a piece of paper, man, that doesn't sound good. But maybe if I get face-to-face, mope a little bit, you probably, come on, you know what I'm talking, like I do this too, right? You even practice like, I'll just go like, I just need, and our whole culture is just good with it now. And in this give and take culture, people walk in defensive or offensive. That you can't even approach a new person without them thinking you want to take something from them. Like the stranger on the bus, on the bus seat, or if you're on an airplane, you're like, hey, how are you? Like, what do you want? I got nothing. Everyone's defensive or they're offensive. Everyone is immediate, like, what do you do? Okay, nope, uninterested. What do you do? Nope, okay, good. What? Oh, no, definitely not. Like they're just picking through the crowd. There's no conversation. It's give and take. I want to get something off my chest, and I want to take whatever you have. My kids do this. Okay, I got 4, 3, and 2-year-olds, right? All they get is give and take, give and take, give and take. Right before I came up here, like I said, they went to the pool, and they're eating pizza at the pool. 4, 3, and 2, 2, 3, and 4, however it's best for you to keep count. They're close. Their favorite words, me first, me first, me first, me first, mine, mine. Judah, give Titus a toy. Whatever toy Judah, does Judah give Titus the toy Judah wants? No. What toy does he give him? One he doesn't want, right? Just take this junk, right? So again, I'm not trying to be rude, but we're keeping it real here, and this is just simple. Most people are like children when it comes to conversation. They're like children. And we need to change the conversation. We want to change the community, which means if you're here now, if you're in GVL Hustle, you can't be satisfied or complacent with the idea of give and take. You can't do it. You cannot be satisfied with give and take. So what you need to do is it's mutual sharing. You need to adopt a sharing and investing culture. See, a conversation isn't I give you something off my chest or I take something from you and I go on my way. It means we share. It means we hold space together. What's your name? Chris. Chris, you want to help me out for a second? Sure. Come on over here, Chris. Everyone give Chris a round of applause. Yes. First volunteer. So right there. See, in a give and take reality, this doesn't happen. All right, Chris, you ready? Yeah. Just for the record, did I tell you we were going to do this?
No.
No? I'm not going to do any magic trick either, so he doesn't have a card hidden up his sleeve. Okay, so you have no idea. Is this the first time we've met?
Yes.
Outstanding. How long have you lived in Greenville?
3 years.
How long?
2, 3 years.
2, 3 years?
Yeah.
Changed your mind pretty quick about that.
Yeah.
1 year maybe? Yesterday. Okay, 2 to 3 years. What is it that you do for a living?
I'm a professional dog trainer.
Oh, that is awesome. How many of you have dogs? How many of you need them trained still, right? Okay, so what kind of dog is your favorite dog?
I don't have a favorite.
Do you have a dog?
Mm-hmm. I have 4.
You have 4? All right, what are their breeds?
2 mixed breeds, 3 mixed breeds, and an all-black German Shepherd.
What's your favorite thing about dogs?
The loyalty.
You know what my favorite thing about dogs is? They're not cats. Any cat people? Any cat people in the audience? All right, cool. Let's make sure they don't get to register for this gathering. All right, Chris, thank you so much. Everyone give Chris a hand. See, mutual sharing and investing is about sharing space. It's about being close. It's about being honest and vulnerable and real and funny and not overthinking it. See, sharing and investing is really about responsibility and accountability. See, when I share something with you, I become responsible for what I say. And by sharing something with you, sharing part of my life, or sharing some knowledge that I have, or sharing a friend that I have, I become responsible to you. I become responsible for it. So just think about this. What would change in your conversation if you became 100% responsible for every word that came out of your mouth and everything you told that person to go do, believe, or see? You become responsible. That's the sharing piece. You got to mutually share, right? It goes back and forth, but it's also about investing, right? And investing is about accountability, right? If I give you $10 because you said you're going to go out and start a business that's going to change Greenville's community, I'm going to come in a little bit and go, how's the $10 going? Right? Because now I'm accountable to the investment in which I've made. But then that investment's also accountable to me. Like, this is how I did it, right? So when we change the conversation, it's about sharing, which makes us now 100% responsible. And it's about investing, which now makes us accountable to one another. But if you want give and take, you don't want responsibility and you don't want accountability. So the first thing we have to understand about conversation, about your vocal art, is it's about mutually sharing. It's about sharing space. It's about doing it together. You can't have a conversation by yourself. There's no such thing as a one-sided conversation. That's called a monologue. And no one wants to be on the other side of your monologue. See, conversations, your vocal art's about sharing and investing into people. In this mutual idea of sharing, this is what I believe. Sharing is the first step to authenticity. Sharing is the first step to authenticity. You cannot be authentic. You cannot be authentically you if you will not share with people. If it's just all give and take, that's not really you being you. That's you trying to be something. Because just like Titus, Judah, Zion, my boys, even though they live in a give and take culture, and even though they operate like give and take culture, Jessica and I are not trying to help them become better givers and better takers. We want them to be themselves. We want them to be specific to who they were wired to be. And that's the first step in authenticity. This idea of sharing. But the other side of this idea of authenticity is that when you're being authentic and sharing with people, you get to know a lot of cool people, and you actually get familiar with people. And what is the common phrase? What happens? Familiarity breeds contempt. Now that sounds awful, right? Like, so we're here trying to tell you, invest in GVL Hustle, get to know these movers, shakers, and doers, pour into the community, but the more familiar you get with them, the more you're going to hate them. Right? It's kind of sad, right? Familiarity breeds contempt. You just start having contempt for these people. And I don't think that's actually what's happening. I think familiarity leads to contempt when you're give and take. Right? Because I know if every time we get coffee, you're just trying to take something from me, yes, I'm going to become contentful. But what I actually feel happens with familiarity is familiarity breeds complacency. See, the more I share with you and the more you share with me, the more space we share, the more complacent I come in my authenticity. The more complacent I come with my artwork. The more complacent I come with the words I use. I don't really think about it. But we have to understand that a conversation first starts with the mutual sharing. It's you sharing and the person you're talking about, sharing space, being authentic, realizing it's about responsibility and accountability. That's the start of any good conversation. Just think about what would change in your life, your relationships, and your business. If you're like, no, I'm not worried about what I can get out of you. I'm looking for what I can invest in you. I'm not looking just to get stuff off my chest. I'm actually looking to share space, share life, share ideas with you. Because that's the first step in authenticity. That's the first step to get rid of this complacent idea when it comes to being familiar with people. So I'm going to give you a chance to do that. All right, so everybody stand up. You can leave your stuff in your seat. You'll end up back there. Everyone stand up. And I want everybody to look around the room. Look around the room. All right, good. Get a good view. All right, so this is what I want you to do. You are going to self-select, and you're going to go stand next to the person that you know best in this room. And if you came here with your spouse or significant other, break up for a little bit. All right, the person you know best. You have 60 seconds. You ready? Go. 2 to 3. You go 2 to 3. All right, when you got your person, raise your hand. Raise your hand when you got your person. All right, so here you go. All right, so you just self-selected that this person knows you best. You've just identified to that person and to yourself that you have and are able to share space and mutually share with one another. So here's how you're going to finish. You're going to finish this sentence to one another. What you don't know about me is blank. What you don't, okay, we're done with complacency. We're embracing sharing. What you don't know about me is, you each have 1 minute. So I'm going to give you 3 total minutes. Ask questions, but open up, share space. What you don't know about me is, go. All right, so what was that experience like? Chris just said something to me, and I'm going to ask him to share it real quick. So I just want to know what that experience was like, finding someone that you self-selected that knew you best and having to share something you didn't know. Chris, what was that like?
It got heavy.
Got heavy? What made it heavy?
Just got like a deep conversation really fast.
Deep conversation really fast. Good. What else? Tell me about the experience.
It was hard, bro.
Say again?
It was hard.
What made it hard?
I think instinctually you have to think of what you want to share.
Okay.
And then it's definitely not something that's comfortable.
Okay, good. Discomfort, you have to think about it. Good. What else? How was this experience?
I think we lie to ourselves, and we really don't want to be vulnerable because everybody has something that the other person doesn't know about them.
Right.
But we get in a moment where can I actually share that?
Right.
With this person? So we can essentially just put this wall where I've told you everything, you know everything about it.
Exactly.
But it's just a state of lie.
Yep. Good. What else? Go ahead, sir.
Then you feel like you almost, am I saying too much, right? And then once you get to the point where it's probably their turn, you might have said too much, more than what they did.
Okay. Okay, good. Yes, sir.
I feel like most people would, as soon as you said share something, everyone had something that came to their mind first. Mm-hmm. And then they probably chose the second or third, not as deep option to share before someone went really, really deep, and then they were like, oh shit, I should have shared that first.
Right. Okay, good. Yeah, you self-selected, self-identified, and backed off. Some people, did anyone else do that? Anyone else do that? Yeah? Okay, good. So I want you to think about what you just did. That was 3 minutes. It got deep, it was hard, it was discomfortable. You had to walk through all the stuff you could have shared, or you probably, that first thing that popped in your mind is something you probably really need to share with somebody. So I haven't done this enough. If that first thing popped in your mind when I say share something that person who knows you best doesn't know, that's probably something you need to figure out a time to go share with that person. Because that means you got to get it, you have to share that space with someone. But you did this in 3 minutes. Just imagine what would happen if everyone you were familiar with, rather than becoming complacent with them, you just said, hey, we haven't been together for a week. Tell me one thing I don't know about you. I mean, when I end up talking to Tyler quite a bit, one of the first questions was, hey, what happened? Tell me something else. Tell me something else. See, it got deep real quick with people you know. That's why you can just get rid of small talk altogether with people you know. Can we just stop wasting time? Create amazing, remarkable, life-changing vocal art with people you already know. Don't talk about the weather, okay? Let's just put small talk off to the side for people you know. Okay, so you have to understand a conversation is a mutual sharing. You just had a conversation, you just mutually shared, but it's around ideas, stories, and experiences, okay? Ideas, stories, and experiences. And I always show up with a lot more to talk about than I actually have time to say, so if you have any questions, here's a way to contact me. But I just want to talk about the formula for what I'm calling engaging. Okay, ideas, stories, and experiences is about engaging. If the first idea of a conversation was about sharing, this is about engaging. And here's the formula for engagement. Healthy, awesome, remarkable, meaningful engagement. It's sharing, which we just talked about, plus questions, plus listening. It's sharing plus questions plus listening equals meaningful engagement. And when we are engaging someone, when we are in this idea of a conversation, these are the 3 pieces that you need to know. So we've already talked about sharing. Let's briefly talk about questions and listening, and then you're going to have another fun exercise, okay? So questions. The current culture we live in is mostly filled with noise. It's noise. You got some noise? Do you have any noise? It's this. It's really obnoxious. That's getting louder. All right, that's good. Right? So you walk into a room, you're in a conversation, and all you're thinking about is, oh my word, when will this end? Like I showed up this networking event just because I, told my boss I had to, or I'm talking to this person because I have to, and it's just noise. The news stations, right? There's a lot of noise. The radio stations, a lot of noise. Social media, a lot of noise. Conversations you have about nothing is just a lot of noise. Noise is the current culture. That's what it looks like in a give and take. Just noise. But a sharing and investing, something about true engagement sounds a little bit like this. See, that sound, that actually is meaningful. All right. See, that's the difference, okay? So a conversation that's not really a conversation, which is just you like spilling words and, in my words, putting paint on canvas recklessly, it's just noise and people want you to be done as quickly as possible. But when a true artist takes their craft seriously and they take those beats and those sounds and they take those words and they take that poetry and they take that clay and they make it something awesome and special and unique, you don't want it to end. That sound came on and people just started moving. Why? Because true artistry moves people. Just think about this. Your conversations can move people. Your conversations can move people. And we've already talked about sharing, but this next step of this really meaningful engagement is about questions. And I only have one thing I want you to really think about now. I want you to change this in your life. I want you to make this change. I want you to start asking for an invitation to give your opinion. Because when we just share, we live under the misconception that just because someone's talking to us means they want our opinion on it. Just because someone's talking to you does not mean they want your opinion. Some of you need to write that on like the palm of your hand, so when you're getting ready to talk, you're like, they don't want my opinion. I want you to start asking people for an invitation to give your opinion. And it could be something like this. Someone's done talking, you simply go, hey, are you open to feedback on that? You open to feedback on that? Because if they say no, guess what? You don't burn relational capital. You're like, cool. If they say no, you don't have to ruin that relationship. You don't have to kick down the door. But if they say yes, just think about how people are more welcoming when they invite you in rather than when you kick down the door. If you showed up at my house tonight and you kicked down the door, you bang, 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 until I opened it, I'd be like, what are you doing? But if you ring the doorbell, like, hey, can I come in for a minute? Yeah, sure, come on in. It'd be weird, but hey. My wife would probably make you a beautiful meal because that's what she does. But an invitation is so much better. Just think about what would change in your relationship if it wasn't always about whose opinion is better, but you just saying, hey, are you open to another perspective on that? I think you're seeing that just one way. Are you open to hearing my perspective? Ask for an invitation to give your opinion, and all of a sudden your conversations will start moving from noise to sound. It means when your opinion shared, it's something that someone wanted. They welcomed that invitation. They said, yes, please. And now you have a receptive audience. This will save relationships. This will save business ideas. Listen, if you're out hustling and someone tells you what they're doing in their business and you go, you know what I would do? They don't care. They have not hired you. It's just, they haven't hired you. But if you're like, hey, are you open to just another idea on that regard? When it comes to questions, ask for an invitation to give an opinion. And then it comes to listening. Then it comes to this idea of listening, right? So sharing, questions, listening. And there's so much under here, but this is what I want to share with you about listening. Culture has created active responders, but passive listeners. Now, if you have an iPhone, right, and you get those 3 little dots on the text message, oh man, I love those. Because I send a message and they're responding. Like, yes. And then they go away and there's no message. What is wrong with these people? I know you were just communicating. And if you have an Android phone, please, I can't even deal with it, right? Because I want immediate response, right? We used to go to restaurants, sit-down restaurants with the intention to do what? Sit down. You show up for 5 minutes, they're like, where's the server? Why isn't my dinner here? You went to a sit-down restaurant. It's meant to be slow, right? It's a scratch kitchen, right? It's supposed to be slow, but we want everything fast. Like this happened to me yesterday. I went to Culver's for my boys, went through drive-thru, ordered, pulled up, paid, and she went, all right, pull around, your food will be right around. I looked at my wife, I was like, what? This is drive-thru. She's like, well, Jonathan, it's not fast food, it's food fast. I was like, are you kidding me? We're gonna wait for fast? And I thought to myself, I'm about to teach this to GVL Hustle, and look, I can't even practice my own thing, right? We're active responders, but that means we're passive listeners. Here's the deal. If you only listen to somebody 50% of the time, you're only 50% able to answer them. If you cut somebody off 50% along the way because you know what they need to do or you know the answer, you've only listened to them 50%, which means your answer is only 50% right, which makes it 50% wrong. You need to listen as actively as you do talking. Because culture, other networking events, other groups of people you may be hanging around, other groups of people you may need to stop hanging around, aren't actually listening to you. They're just waiting for you to stop talking so they can start. And you generally know that that person stopped listening to you when the first phrase out of their mouth is, I know what you mean, because when I, or this phrase, when I totally agree. What? How can you ever totally agree with another human being? Have you met yourself? Do you even agree with yourself? Totally? We have to listen. So here's how I want you to do it, right? So if it's about asking for an invitation to give your opinion when it comes to questions, sharing, right? Sharing is about being your authentic self, being you. Here's the thing about listening. Listen for connection before drawing attention. Listen for, how can you connect with that person before throwing the spotlight on you? How can you connect with their story before putting the spotlight? How can you emphasize that story and get them to tell you more details of their story before you tell them your story? How can you listen for connection before drawing attention? And that's the formula for engagement. That's the idea of ideas, stories, and experiences. It's about sharing something that's uniquely yours. And that's the person asking questions about you and them listening. That's what we need if we want to change this community. That's what we need. Okay, so we're going to do one more quick exercise. Because this might be the most important exercise we do. And then if Tyler gives me the thumbs up, we'll do one more. Okay, but here's what I want you to do. I want everyone to stand back up. I want you to look around the room again. And I want you to find the person you don't know at all. Complete stranger, and go stand next to that person. You might not have to go far. And you can go in groups of 2 or 3, 2 or 3, 2 or 3. All right, when you got your person, raise your hand. When you got your person or persons, raise your hand, raise your hands, raise your hand. All right, so listen. You just self-selected that you've never met this person before. They are a total stranger. They don't know who you are unless you're Dr. C, and then everybody knows who you are, right? All right, everyone knows. No dancing. Okay, listen. Here's the thing. You just self-selected. Before you went deep with a person right off the bat, right? Because you had to tell them something that they didn't know about you, and you said they knew you. But this is a total stranger. So this is the question. This is a statement I want you to finish. What I want you to know about me is, you get to share who you want to be. Not your LinkedIn profile, not your social media handle, not what your friends think, not what your parents think, not what your boss thinks. You get to say, what I want you to know about me is blank. And then that other person ask questions, listen, and then after a minute, I'll yell switch if you got a group of 3, then go to the second, and then after a minute and a half, I'll yell it again. But listen, you've just met this person the first time. There's no reason to lie. You gain nothing from not telling the truth. You gain nothing. But you lose the opportunity to create remarkable vocal art together and for yourself. All right? So, what I want you to know about me is go. All right, everybody. I love this, but I got to break you up for a little bit. Let's find your seat again. Let's find your seat. We're going to keep moving. All right, so before we do this, I just want to capture some thoughts. Okay, so you just met someone for the first time, and you got to paint yourself, right? You got to use your vocal art to just say, hey, this is who I am. What was this experience like? What made it great?
Meeting someone and being very transparent to them, and vulnerable all in the same time, but then learning something great in the process is scary, but it's kind of exciting at the same time.
Awesome. Great. Good. Somebody else. Yes, sir.
You'll learn what's most important to them.
Perfect. You'll learn what's most important. Good. Somebody else. Yes, sir.
It's liberating to be transparent to a stranger.
Yeah. It's liberating to be transparent to a complete stranger. Good. What else? Yes, sir.
It was just listening to what you said earlier and thinking more about listening to them.
Yeah. Awesome. So good. JD?
Since we're both talking about what we wanted the other person to know, if we kind of gave each other a standard maybe that we have to live up to now.
Yeah, exactly. Accountability and responsibility. Once you share, that's great. Yes, sir.
It's hard to think of what you want the other person to actually know, what you want them.
Right. Which is a great, you should be able to answer that question every day. You should be able to say, this is what I want people to know. Okay, one more person. Yes, ma'am.
This time I did actually go through a list of what I felt was more important for someone I didn't know to know about me.
Awesome. So good. So I have hours and hours of training and conversation that I could take you all through, but time is limited. So we started with this idea of sharing. We moved to engaging, and here's the third piece I want us to understand. Conversation is about building. Remember, the mutual sharing of ideas, stories, and experiences around a specific topic that builds common ground. A conversation is about sharing, engaging, and building. The goal of every conversation, is to build common ground. But our culture today, we like soapboxes and we stand on pillars, and there's huge gaps between us. So someone's standing over there, I'm standing over here, and we got just a little bit of ground, and we're yelling at one another. We're telling each other why the other person's wrong. Or if we get close enough, we have, this is all the common ground we have, and we agree on something, but because the ground's so small, the moment I disagree with them, right, it's just one thing, and I'm like, I'm done with that. See, the goal, if you're creating artwork, the goal is to create common ground, which means you should have more room to have a conversation with that person, more room to do life with that person. So if you disagree with them over here, you can still have a relationship with them. You do know that you can have relationships with people that you disagree with politically, right? Like it is possible. Because if it's one area of your life and you got all this, like making Greenville better, so you vote for someone different one time a year. Theologically, like if you drink Budweiser, like we can still be friends. It's okay. I might try to move you wrong, right? But like common ground. That's the goal of every conversation. So when you leave here tonight, you should have more room to talk with people. You should have more common ground with them. But here's the problem. This is going to be a group exercise. Tyler's going to come help. We're going to break you up, and we don't have time for small talk. Okay? The weather's great. Look, it's sunny, finally. Okay? But here's the thing that gets in the way of common ground. Obstacles. Obstacles get in the way of common ground. It's like roadways in Greenville. Potholes everywhere. You got to zig, you got to zag all the time. Common ground is disrupted by obstacles. So it takes true leaders, it takes true artists to identify what those obstacles are and say those aren't going to be in our conversation. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Again, I know we're pushing a little over time. I super appreciate you going a little bit longer because I believe this will really change your life and change this culture and community that is being built here at GVL Hustle. We're going to divide you up into 10 groups, right? About eight people or so. Okay, you spread out a little bit. You can pick a team leader or someone can just step in lead. I recommend the latter, right? Just somebody lead. You're in a group of leaders, okay? So here, everyone stand up, self-selected groups of 8 to 10. And then when you get there, raise your hands. 8 to 10. All right, here we go. All right, everyone listen to this question. Here's the question. This is what we have to understand. If the goal of every conversation is to build common ground, that means every time you leave a conversation, you have more room to do life with that person. We have to identify the obstacles that get in the way of conversations, specifically obstacles that get in the way of other networking and gatherings when it comes to getting together and moving forward to change, okay? So I'm going to give you a few minutes, okay, and I want you to start naming off, someone capture these. What are obstacles that get in the way of building common ground? What are obstacles that get in the way to building common ground? All right? Make sense? Ready to go? All right, go. What are obstacles? All right, I'm sure there's plenty more, but I want to hear from everybody. I love this. I love conversation. So look, can you believe what we've accomplished in 45 minutes? You've talked to somebody you've talked to someone you've known for a long time and shared something you'd never shared with them before. You met a brand new friend and you had a ton of fun doing that. And now we've just identified obstacles. And we did that in 45 minutes, just being intentional with our vocal art. That's awesome. That's how you change the community. All right, so listen, I want us to be able to be respectful in here, so I'm going to go to each group, and whoever the leader was, the spokesman was, just going to share what those distractions are. We're gonna capture them, and then it will be a brief wrap-up, and then you'll hear just a little bit from Tyler. All right, so I'm going to start over here with this group. Who is the leader?
Very quickly, fear, insecurity, being judged, prejudice, intelligence, trust or lack of, alcohol, lack of confidence, afraid to speak up, they don't care, past experience, social status, opinion, technology, distraction, or lack of interest.
Awesome. Would everyone agree with those? Woo! All right, let's go to this next group. Who's next?
Cool. So I'm just going to do top 5 from, we obviously have the main ones, ego, pride, all that stuff. But one of the ladies said burnout, not having enough energy in an environment. The camera guy said right here, not understanding the question or the agenda that you're even trying to solve, the problem you're trying to solve. Overthinking, insecurity, self-image, environment, as far as we talked about the music being a little loud, but we're trying to connect, right? So things like that, just environment, past experiences, and sex, race, politics, all the main steps.
Awesome. Okay, now make sure you save these. Don't delete them because we're going to need to capture them also. Okay, is there a group over here? Awesome.
We had arrogance, lack of listening, fear, politics, sports, sexuality, appearance, judgment, preconceptions, religion, self-image, and physical distance.
Awesome. Yeah, all these things just get in the way of building common ground. But the moment you're able to share and be authentic in so many of these areas, you're just able to have more common ground. All right, another group here. Who's the spokesperson? Here I come.
Okay, religion, politics, anything you also attach your humanity to. Active listening is not practiced. People are naturally selfish. We want what we want. Stubbornness, not changing your views or listening to others. Missing an open mind mentality. And being too emotional, allowing it to fuel our perspectives.
Awesome. Yeah, these things just get in the way, but once they're overcome, it's like when you finally were able to dunk that basketball or lift that amount of weights or cook that meal without burning it, especially on Thanksgiving. Once you overcome them, you have more common ground, you're able to succeed. Where's the group? Here we go.
Politics, you're raising your ego, bias, money, fear, religion, insecurity, culture, ignorance, goals, convictions, morals, alcohol.
That's awesome. Yeah, fear, insecurity, distractions. Alcohol is coming up. I think that's a conversation worth having. All right, where are we here? Okay.
Okay, insecurities, truth, goals, the end result, time, religion, education, political view, college sports team, occupation, age, wealth, class, hygiene, family, environment, morality, and gender.
That's right. Good. Okay, a couple more groups. Where are we here?
Right here. So we got religious beliefs, politics, negativity, difference, judgment, perspectives, expectations, like physical barriers, offensive or resentment, image, ethics, language, fear, self-image, noise, ego, and the desire to be right.
Desire to be right. It's a huge obstacle. Okay, group over here. All right, yes, ma'am.
All right. Politics, religion, race, fear, judging, closed-minded, ignorance, lack of knowledge, prejudging, expectations, lack of respect, overconfident, ego, pride, profiling, confidence, intimidation, and social status.
Yeah, those are huge. Is there another group I missed? Okay, so look, before you move to your seat, I want you to think about what you just did, right? I want to close this loop. You just publicly, in that group, and then you brought it up as a community, you just shared something. Which if it wasn't give and take, which means you weren't just getting this off your chest, like, well, this is why I don't have good conversation, so here. But if you actually shared and you want to invest in this community, Greenville community, that means you are now responsible and accountable to remove all of those obstacles you just talked about. Like I said, this isn't philosophical. Conversations don't play in the ethereal. This is on the ground. You just, as a group of about 100 people, identified dozens of obstacles that you shared. And if you are serious about creating a culture of change, we have to change the conversation. Which means these obstacles can no longer stop you from creating remarkable vocal art. Because you're an artist. You create artwork that will be remembered. And that artwork will be remembered in this community. So you either can be remembered for not getting us anywhere or be part of moving us forward. Every great artist leaves a legacy. not for who they are, but what they create. You will be remembered for what you create. Don't you want that to be something remarkable, meaningful, memorable that changes this community? You can do all of that through a conversation. All right, let's head back to our seats and we'll wrap up.
All right, guys, before we wrap up, let's give a round of applause for Jonathan Parker. Awesome.